Hi everyone, this is Mayor Farrah N, and on today's Chat with the Mayor, I'll be speaking to our two very own Northwood High School students who are now champions in debate. Sana and Nihar, thank you so much for joining me today. And you've got to share what's going on. What is it that you're doing? So you're at UNLV, University of Nevada, Las Vegas. You guys are debating. Tell me a little bit about that competition. What was it like?
It's a little bit anticlimactic in comparison to in-person debate. Just because COVID, we had to move the tournaments online. We actually debated in the same room next to each other at my house, and it was kind of like us just like on our screens talking at our opponents and then also talking with each other. It's like a very fast-paced event, so oftentimes we have like very quick conversations and then do our own thing, or we'll like talk for longer and then like come up with our strategy for the round. And I think that's like the gist of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically what happens is usually like I'll go over to Sana's house a little bit before the round is supposed to start, and then we'll get like a blast on our phones from this like, I guess like system that they have called Tab Room, which is an online system where tournaments publish information and like where all the information for the rounds are. So that'll tell us like who our judge is and like when our round starts and what team we're hitting and what side we're on. So either we're like affirming the resolution, or we're like negating the resolution. And then we'll talk a little bit about what our strategy is going to be like through the round, and then we'll talk to like our coaches or our coach, and then go into the round and then debate the team.
So tell me a little bit about this debate. Was it a division debate? Was it statewide? What did you encompass?
There's different levels that you can debate on. We debated specifically on the national circuit, which is basically open to teams across the nation, and then they can come and compete to get a bid to. The bid is basically just like qualifying you for the Tournament of Champions at the end of the year, which is all the best debaters. So a lot of people will come to these national circuit tournaments for a chance to like make it far enough in the tournament to get that bid. So there's also two levels that it gets broken down into. There's the varsity and the novice, and I guess sometimes there's a third called junior varsity or JV. Mm-hmm. And novice is like people who just have started debate. JV is the people who are starting to get more comfortable with the format and are like wanting to hit harder teams, try out harder arguments, that kind of stuff. And then varsity are like the people who are the most experienced with the event and are like in it for its competitiveness, knowing that they're going to hit hard teams and also be ready to be like a hard team to hit for other people. So we were entered in the varsity division for UNLV, and we've been competing in varsity for the past 2 years.
Now, this is the first time, and then I know, I mean, it's very much structured like a sport, but debate is not considered a sport, right?
Yeah.
This is the first time where usually in varsity you have seniors that are competing, even in debate you have seniors, mm-hmm. But you guys are juniors, and you guys won as juniors. And this is the first time in all of IUSD history, is that correct?
Yeah.
That is amazing. So congratulations to you guys for that.
Thank you.
That is really big news, and I think not too many people even know, but I just definitely wanted to make sure that we celebrated this win, because it is amazing to see young people debating. And tell me a little bit about what you were debating on.
So there's a topic committee that sets the topic for the entire year for the event. That's going to be debated in like mostly every tournament. So the topic for this year is the United States should substantially increase its protection of water resources in the United States. So that's primarily what most of our debates were occurring over. So when we're AF, we're like agreeing that they should, and then when we're NEG, we're obviously saying that they shouldn't, or that there are alternative means to do so in a better way that are more net beneficial.
So tell me how, what got you into debate, and what do you hope to do with it? Like, what do you expect to accomplish with it in the future?
So how I got into debate is honestly like a petty sibling story with me and my older sister, who also did debate before I came in. So she was actually babysitting me this summer right before my 8th grade. And because she was babysitting me and also running the summer camp that we have at our school, she had to take me to the summer camp. So that was my first exposure to policy. Before then, I was kind of like, I didn't care what was happening in the world. And then that was like a totally enlightening experience, and I decided I wanted to do debate from that point. So I actually got to repeat the summer camp twice because you're also required to do it like the year before you start debate. So I did it the summer before my 9th year too.
Awesome. Nihar.
I think similarly to Sana, my older brother did debate, and that sort of maybe not inspired me, but that's the reason why I started doing debate. And then I stayed because I liked the argumentative aspect and the research aspect of it, and I liked the competitive aspect of it as well.
That's awesome. And then what do you guys hope to do with this experience in the future?
To be honest, I think a lot of debate itself, like the format doesn't really carry into the real world that well, because it's not going to be ever like the same fast-paced discussion where people are speaking like 400 words per minute at each other. But there's a lot of other skills that we take into it. Like, for example, I just talked about like research, because the evidence quality is something that's really important in these rounds and are definitely something that's debatable to like see whose side is more credible. You learn how to find much more credible articles, and also just that like you delve deeper into the literature base, so you just become more knowledgeable about these topics in general. And then I think the other things are like, there's an argument called a critique, which is basically just like examining underlying biases that could exist and the arguments that people are reading. It shows you how the world works, and you can take that knowledge that you have to become a better advocate in the real world, because if you understand and are aware of how these problems exist, then it's easier to know how to overcome them too.
Absolutely.
So I like personally have become very passionate about things like climate change and also human rights. Like I joined Amnesty International as a result of this event, so yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
I think for me, I definitely want to continue debating in college. But like Sana said, even after that, it isn't like a one-to-one correlation of like the same format or like style. So I think it's mostly just like the things I learned from this activity, like the research skills, or just like the ways in which I like make decisions that are impacted, because a lot of the skills of like cost-benefit analysis, or like evaluating like different scenarios and which ones have more benefits and which ones have more costs, is something that can translate into like real life, not just like politically being active, but also just like, you know, like everyday decisions that we make. So that's something that debate has really taught me. And I think someone said once that like a high school debater does about the same amount of research as like PhD students, and into some like pretty complex like theories academically too. And that's stuff that I never would have like learned in high school outside of like this activity.
So what did you guys do to train? I mean, besides, you mentioned camps, but was there anything else that helped you get there?
So in the camp specifically, there's a lot of different activities that we do. A term you'll hear a lot if you join debate is drills, because the only way to get better at debate is to practice debate. So there's different aspects of debate that you can practice, like giving speeches and also just becoming like a more eloquent speaker. And then also like on-the-spot thinking, because you have to be very spontaneous in a debate round because prep is limited. So those are all things that different drills will be focused on so that you can develop each skill in a more like acute manner. And then when you do a round, it's like a collection of all those skills, or like an accumulation of all of those skills combined.
So you mentioned that other teams that are coming from private institutions, they have coaches. Who's your coach?
So we have a private coach that we hired. Her name is Madeline, and she's been like instrumental to a lot of our success this year. She helps us produce research, and she listens to like practice speeches that we give, and she offers feedback, and has generally just been a mentor through guiding us through like the process of doing debate. But she's not like a school hired employee, as you'll see with like most other institutions. They'll like put money into like giving people jobs to, you know, like write debate arguments or like listen to speeches, whereas like we've had to like pay out of our own pocket to do that in order to have the same access or even like similar access to like what those schools have.
And what got you guys to team up?
We were actually not partners at the very beginning. I had a different partner in my freshman year, but then that partner, due to like his own circumstances, had to quit debate. So we went to the same summer camp the year right before 10th grade. Yeah, right before our sophomore year. We went to the same summer camp, and he was doing a different debate event at that time, but he wanted to switch to policy. And since policy is a partnered event, and I didn't have a partner anymore, we decided that we were gonna partner.
So what's next for you guys after having won this? What are you looking forward to?
I think just our next tournaments, right?
Yeah, we have two championships left. The first one is for the National Debate Coaches Association. And then the second one is the Tournament of Champions, which Sana explained is the one where you have to have the qualifier, and that's hosted by the University of Kentucky, but will be online this year.
That's awesome. And we'll be looking forward to seeing you guys achieve those goals as well and hopefully come back with more wins. So thank you so much for being here today and having this conversation.
Yeah, and
Thank
thank
you
you for
so
hosting
much.
us.
Thank you.